Everyone, my name is John. I'm here with my friend Lucky, who I'll talk about more in a second. And we are here at Jesse H. Jones Park and Nature Center, where I am fortunate enough to get to work as a wildlife educator here. Just a little bit about the park briefly. We're an education facility primarily, and we're also nested in a large park. So we are a 312-acre wilderness preserve / hike and bike trail / history education / nature education place. And it's really, really cool. I'm very fortunate to be able to work here, where I've been able to get paid to do things that I've done for fun my whole life, which is great. A lot of people can't say that. So we talk mainly about nature and about animals in the area and things like that, but we also have a history replica homestead. So it's like a pioneer village that's built in the style of the 1830s that you can come and see here at the park, and it's all free. So we talk about the nature of the area, the history of the area, and then we tie it all together and talk about both at the same time sometimes.
Cool.
So a little bit about how I got into this job. I guess I'll just go through a timeline and start off at when I was a kid, and there's just something about seeing snakes or finding a turtle that just piqued my interest, and I was just more interested in that than other kids. So when other kids were out, playing at recess, I'd be out looking for lizards and things like that. And that never really went away. So that was really clear that it was going to stick with me as I got older. And I got to keep all sorts of cool animals growing up. And I still do. I still do keep animals myself. And that interest sort of led me to pursue a career in that field. But it wasn't a straight path that progressed linearly. I kind of had to bounce around a little bit. So I started out in high school. I would volunteer at a wildlife rehabilitation center, and what they do is they'll
Which one can we ask?
What's that?
Which
Austin
center?
Wildlife
Okay.
Rehab Center. So that was in Austin, Texas, and it was great. I got all kinds of great experience there. For those of you who don't know, rehabilitation facilities will basically take in injured and orphaned wildlife that they will nurse back to health so that they can be hopefully released back into the wild. And if they can't be released back into the wild because they're too injured or what have you, they can be used as educational animals. So I spent a few years doing that out of high school while I was going to college at Stephen F. Austin State University.
Hey, that's where I went.
The SFA, that's out in East Texas, in Nacogdoches, Texas. It's a great school. And I studied, the title of my major was Forest Wildlife Management. So as I talked about, we have a 312-acre forest land here that basically what we're trying to do at the park is restore this forest area back to what it used to be before people were here. Because even though you come out to the park and you see trees and it looks natural, it's changed in a lot of ways that you might not understand. So you gotta bring back some of the natural forces that happen in the area, bring the old plant communities back so that you can create a stable ecosystem to have wildlife there as healthy as it can be. So that's what we do. And after I graduated college, I guess I skipped a step. So right out of college, I did a short internship doing bat research. So I knew a professor that I knew during college. He knew somebody who was working on bat research. So I got to travel all over the state of Texas and study bat populations here, which was really cool. And then as that ended, I applied at all sorts of different places. I tried to fit it to my major specifically as best I could, but it's important to know you don't necessarily have to do that. So my main job here is wildlife education, teaching about animals and things like that. That doesn't really, I do a little bit of land management here, but it's not mostly what I do. But I was able, just having that degree that was related to nature, I did get to take herpetology classes in college and things like that, which is the study of reptiles. But most of my experience and knowledge that got me here, honestly, was stuff that I had taught myself before I even ever went to college. So, if you want to get a job in some sort of wildlife education field like this, don't think that you have to major in zoology or anything like that. And it's just as important that you have that interest that leads you to learn about animals outside of your schooling and outside of your work. as other options too. So to teach about history, I've gotten to go out in the field and do land management, where I clear out invasive species that aren't supposed to be here, invasive plant species, plant native plant species that are healthier for the ecosystem. Get to do a little bit of that. I sort of manage the snake collection here, and I get to teach people about snakes and all sorts of things like that. Honestly, it sounds cliche, but it's really hard for me to pick one thing that I like the most.
Cool.
But if I have
We
to,
love to hear
it's
that.
education related stuff like this. I love talking to people and getting to change people's minds about animals.
All right. And also, if you had any advice for, a high school kid who maybe is thinking, yeah, this looks pretty cool, what could they do to get involved and to kind of start heading down this path?
So as I had started, like I said, doing volunteer work, that's a great way to start. And we have many volunteer opportunities here at the park. That's one great way to get your foot in the door. College is also another great pursuit if that's an option for you. And it really, in this field, especially in the wildlife education field, don't get too caught up in thinking you have to know exactly what you're going to do when you start doing it. You talk to most people who have a job that they love, and it's common that they didn't even know that's what they were going to end up doing, and you just kind of start following what you're interested in, and your plan takes shape as you move along, and that's what happened for me. So my advice would be, learn outside of schooling. Don't get caught up in thinking that you have to pick a major and then get a job exactly with what that major is. It's all about getting your name out there. If you can find volunteer opportunities, that's a great way to do it.